Alrighty. Hi, everybody. I'm just a little bit behind. There we go. Okay. So, oh, good. Nice. Lots of people here. Today, we're going to take a look at the photo reference images that you guys sent in. I threw a few of my own in there.
A meal service that works for Cook Unity sends you delicious.
And, so yeah, what we're going to do is take a look at it, talk about how to think through it in terms of a 2D. We could be painting, we could be wet felting, needle felting. I'm not getting too much into like what fibers to use and stuff. That's a different conversation. This is just about color, composition, contrast, looking artistic license, but do ask questions, and we can, definitely say like, well, I would really love to wet felt this. How would you approach that? Or don't be afraid to ask questions, but there's a lot of images, and I'm not like I said, we're not sort of like picking out fiber and talking through how to do each one. But, and there's also some images that I included a lot, many. We received tons of emails, so thank you so much for that. But some of them are in there, probably not great painting subjects. So if it's your image, and that's the case, please don't be offended. I take hundreds of pictures to get one that is the right angle, properly lit, just interesting. What makes an amazing photograph doesn't necessarily make a great piece of art. So, and again, this is also through my eyes and interpretation. Every artist has kind of like a different perspective and pair of artistic sunglasses on or glasses on. So there might be something in one of these images that grabs you and it inspires you. Every piece that's created, no matter what kind, needs an inspiration that carries you through it. So, for example, it could be a technique, like, oh, I've never done this before, I'm gonna try this, and that's what motivates you through the process. It could be an incredible color, like maybe you see this scarlet red something, and then your whole brain just starts, it gets activated of how can I incorporate this beautiful bright red into a piece of art. And so that bright red becomes the muse, it becomes the inspiration. It could just be the photograph itself, like this is just such a pleasing scene, I want to do it justice. You could try making something bigger than ever, smaller than ever, working monochromatically, getting some drama. Like, just there needs to be something that captures your creative inspiration that you're like imbuing into the piece. That's gonna be the fuel, really, because if we're making something and we don't understand why we're doing it, then it can just be a little bit mechanical, and you're probably more likely to get lost in it. So we have arranged the photographs in order. I kind of put groups together. Got a ton of vacation, what I imagine are vacation pictures. If it's your home,
Lucky you.
No, I'm just kidding. Beautiful photographs and flowers, a few dogs, a few horses, lots of sunsets, lots of beaches, mountains. So I kind of have subjects grouped together. And some of them I'm going to talk all about how I see myself in this video that's about 15 seconds behind. And it's like I'm trying to land a plane the way that I'm gesticulating. Just out of the corner of my eye, I see white arms flailing. So we're going to discuss, why I think it would be tricky or difficult or, whatever. And then we're going to talk about also the ones that just scream like, please paint me. Okay. All right. So Talbot put the images into a slideshow, basically. So the live stream is going to switch to just the images. So you're not going to see me. You're just going to hear my voice. And I'm going to be looking at the images at the same time. And we're going to talk through each one. Please use the chat window to ask questions. Is there anything that I need to address so far? Okay.
Switching over.
Yeah.
Whatever it delays in for you.
Okay. Well, I can just look at the video. I don't even need to look at the file.
Well, if you do the files, then when I switch to the next, you'd see it.
Oh, I'll just see it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Why did it do that?
What, do you have an ad?
It pulled an ad in for me.
Weird. I don't have an ad.
Okay, good. That's annoying. Okay, so what we're looking... Oh, and I did not record whose pictures are whose. If you're watching and you see your photo and you want to say, oh, that's mine, that's fine. But I'm not discussing who sent in what picture. So we're looking at a beautiful autumn landscape. And this one inspires me. I'll tell you what I like about it. I like the direction of the sun. So we have the fence on the left and the fence on the right. The fence on the left is sunlit. And on the right, we're looking at the shadow side. And I like the shadow that's cast onto the path by the fence. I like the depth, so we see all the way through the tunnel. It's a little bit perfectly centered. So if I were to work with this photo, I might crop a little bit of the left, because that is also just a lot of yellow on the left. And it's very solid. All the trees on the left is very solid. So I would probably crop a little bit to the left, or just visually swing the path slightly to the left, so that that light at the end of the tunnel isn't so perfectly centered, and get it over to the left a little bit. The reason that I'm talking about chop on the left is because on the right, we have all the interest of the dark trees, the dark fence, and seeing through the trees to the sky. So I hope that makes sense. I would just remove, we don't need to include whatever the structure is right in that bottom right corner. And I do like the big cast shadow right in the foreground, but I would keep the fence the same kind of fence coming all the way off to the right. There's just ignore that privacy fence, just keep it split rail all the way off to the right. Keep the big cast shadow, but we don't know what cast it. Whatever cast it is off camera. And then maybe make it just a little bit, like right now it's between a quarter and a third of the entire composition vertically. So just bring that cast shadow down a little bit maybe. So yeah, I think that's a fun one to develop. Yeah, let me know if you guys have questions. Hopefully, maybe you're taking notes. I don't know. And then, is there a way that we want to share images? I think when we asked for submissions, we said that these would be sort of open to.
Yeah, I mean they're being shared now.
They're open to people using. Okay. Okay. Any questions coming up for you guys about this picture?
If somebody really wants to use this image, I think they could just screenshot it.
Right.
Well,
True. Good. Taking notes is good. And then you can, pause and. Who's doing that?
What?
I don't know. The arrow just moved around on my.
Oh, the cursor? Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Wait, can you do that? You can move the cursor around on the screen?
It's capturing the window of the images that I'm streaming.
Oh, right. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, because if I had that, I could point to things while
that'd be nice.
while I'm talking about them. All right, we're learning. Okay, good. Would you thin out the trees at all on the left? Good question. I would not. But I would somehow diminish that whole upper left quarter is the same, except for the few dark trees that are in there. That's why I want to pull it. I either want to crop some of it off on the left. I do like that it's overhanging the way that it's overhanging the path. But either break it up with more of these dark areas and maybe lose some of it on the left. Because what I really like is the way the right side is a little bit more see-through. So, yes, the video will definitely be available. Okay, Talbot, we can go to the next one.
Okay.
I have no idea how long this is going to take, so we're just gonna see. We're just gonna see. Hopefully we get through everything.
Could have a running timer for every photo, but it's
Some are gonna a crop. Some are gonna be shorter and some are gonna be later. Okay. Another. Oh, I didn't get the ad this time.
Random.
Okay, another autumn woods. This is similar in the sense that we have the depth of the distance, the shadow in the foreground, the beautiful play of the dappled sunlight on the ground. I like the way the foreground is grass and shadow, and then the ground towards the horizon line, it looks like the leaves have fallen onto the grass. So instead of green, it's kind of a rusty orange color. And then you have these lines of the sunlight is coming from the distant left, sort of slightly towards us. So it's making these stripes of sunlight. Talbot, maybe do put the straight on camera in the corner, just because there's so much.
Give me just a moment.
Yeah. So this composition is actually really good. Our bright spot is slightly off center. I love the contrast of the dark pine tree that's in shadow very close to the viewer. So we have this dramatic contrast of the dark tree right against that very light distant sky. I would probably lose the fence. Oh, there I am. I would probably lose the fence. I don't think it's adding anything. In fact, I think it's a little bit distracting.
It'd be hard to show that fiber. Like,
If you were doing it in fiber, that's very far away and very precise
lost,
to
yeah.
like it's just going to look heavy. And if I were doing this in fiber, I would want everything at that distance to be sort of soft and yeah. Helen, that's a really good point, and I totally agree. And I did put the image of the woods that my son took into the mix, which is very much that way, that busy way. And so we're going to talk about that.
This has ruined it.
I'm giving Talbot a very, very difficult request.
No. Just
Yeah.
gotta figure out a different way to do it.
Sorry, I thought it was more at hand than that. We're still here. Well, hello. I'm hot though.
oh,
Do you mind turning? I think it's just the lights.
So do you want to be upper left, upper right?
Upper, doesn't matter. Upper left, I guess. And maybe just that fan. All right. Oh, jeez.
see your arm, but not you.
I know. He's getting it. He's getting it.
I get a behind the scenes look.
What Talbot has to do.
Is that well, I guess that's, we'll see. Give it a second.
Yes, and you can move to the next.
Okay.
Would you crop any of that?
No. Mm-mm. I mean, you could come. I would come off the top, because I think the ground is like
Super
the really amazing part. Yeah, I would maybe take like a sixth off the top. Okay. The beach and clams. Clams?
Oysters? Clams.
I think clams.
I literally don't
Mollusks.
Do you see that
Okay.
question?
Okay. When you choose a photo to work from, how important is a focal point or a point of interest? Okay. Okay. So this is actually a good photo to talk about that very question. So this was probably, really interesting to come upon, all these shellfish right on the beach. If I were to be inspired by this image, it would be a study in near and far. So love the perspective. I love that. I sort of wish that the photo were taken even just a little bit lower, like to get a little bit weirder with like what's close. I always think of, remember Grover from Sesame Street? Do you remember?
The near and far.
When he's like, "Pa, pa, 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 pa," and he's like, near, and then he like runs away and he's like, far. That's what. So this doesn't necessarily have a focal point. There's a thousand clams. We're just calling them clams. I don't know what they are. But to pull from this photo, I would emphasize the ones in front with a lot of like crispness and contrast. Their shadows, they're open. Some are open, some are closed. And then let everything dissipate as it goes back into the distance. So that could be really fun, actually. I would lose the buildings, just totally lose the buildings.
Just your grass and sky.
The grass and the water are kind of mirroring each other on each side. Just bring them just slightly closer and down. Don't need all of that beach. But yeah, so if the photo were taken from a slightly lower perspective, the grass and water would be a little bit more lower. I think my brain's turning upside down. But what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Something about inspiration. Oh, sometimes artistic license, like, well, I have this photo, it's just an inspiration, I'm not going to draw it exactly. Sometimes take that leap in baby steps. So removing something, piece of cake. Cropping, no problem. You can even do that. Well, nowadays, if I would ever pick up my iPad and learn how to use it, you could do some of these things to make your reference picture the way you want it. Back in the day, I spent a lot of time and money taking photographs that got printed, and that was it. I had to work from these photographs. So you can manipulate the picture beforehand. That would help a lot. I'm a little stuck in my old wiring of well, this photo looks like this, so it's not a good reference. Bigger things like totally changing the direction of light, totally changing the perspective, adding a new element, like those are harder leaps to take, and I would avoid them at first. I would just find good reference images, which is what this whole chat is about, and go from there. Okay, I think we're good on that one. Thanks, Talbot. I don't know what's next, so this is exciting. Yeah. This is the 16-second delay. I'm gonna have to give you a faster heads up. Okay, another beach, another like super interesting thing that somebody's stumbled upon. This is one of those things that for me is, I would have walked up to it, looked all around it. It's totally amazing. As a piece of art, as a 2D image, I'm not sure that it's going to translate to make sense. Like the viewer might be like, what is that? Unless you really cropped it. I think what's confusing to me is the way this ancient tree has been sort of eaten away at over time. So it's, it's very stubby. It looks unfinished. But if you cropped it so that the beach, the water, and the sky were totally subtle background, and what I would do is like drag the top left corner down in and cut off the ends of those trees, so that it's almost like you're looking at a tree trunk or through it. That's one idea, but this is just a bit of a stiff composition to me. That's my thinking on it. So Jean's really excited about it, so I can't wait to see what you make and prove me wrong.
3D on 2D.
Oh, yes, that could be
very cool.
That could be very cool. I guess it's just like it's somewhere between a tree and driftwood. Mm-hmm. And so that's what made it such a fascinating object to see. But how do you yeah. Okay, Talbot, I'm going to say go ahead because it's going to take 15 minutes. But yes, very, very cool. At some point, if you guys want, oh, we did turn the overhead on. Okay, but you don't have it going. Yeah, at some point, I might bring the chickadee over to show them. Oh, a doodle. At first, I thought that was Sadie. Okay, this is a cute dog. And, you know, I like a soft light. You don't want, or I shouldn't say you don't want, really strong sunlight with very strong cast shadows is kind of a lot for the eye to take in. But this one sort of has a little bit of the opposite issue where there's some light and dark. Obviously this is a 3D object, but just a little bit more light could really liven this up a lot. So it's pretty subdued in terms of values on the dog. So if you were going to make a portrait, this is where that artistic license, this is something that would be a little tricky. I would look for a photograph that's lit a bit more dramatically, with a bit more interest. But yes, so when it's wet or rainy or no sun, color becomes really saturated, which is very cool. It's very, and that can be a whole look. It can definitely be a whole look. But going for a pet portrait, I would look for a little bit more lightness. So like if you were to look at the dog's shoulders on each side of the neck going down to the elbows, they're lit exactly the same. Like there's no difference.
So then it becomes less interesting as you're
when you
trying to
paint
create it.
when you paint, we're not getting as much form and interest as we would get if there was some stronger source of light.
Okay.
It's very cute. The snow is fun. The little snow on the nose is fun. So yeah. Okay. We can go Talbot unless anybody has a question. But yeah, go ahead and I think we have another dog coming up.
It does look a lot like Sadie. I'm partial to that one.
Yeah.
It's like my dog.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So this picture this is exactly kind of what we're looking for. There is a filtered light coming from the left and maybe slightly behind. Maybe there was a window there. And so if you look at the front ridge of the ear on the left side of the picture, that's probably one of the lightest spots on the whole image, that and the left side of the muzzle. And then on the right ear, that's in shadow. So that's that subtle difference that is going to give your pet portrait a lot more oomph. And as the artist, it's more fun to depict, like it, to be like, oh, I'm gonna make this shadow and this is highlighted, and this is a fun pose. Definitely you would have to imagine the rest of the ears. I wouldn't crop it like that. I would include the whole ear. But probably from another picture you could do that pretty easily. Yeah, I think that's a great candidate. And background, I usually just do some, I don't do a detailed background. I just make a color that's complementary to the dog, for a portrait. Especially one that's going to be a vignette of sort of just the head. So, all right, I think we're good, Talbot. This dog. So this photo, we have the person also felted it. So I believe, sticking at, this is a Spaniel. I forget what, I want to say water Spaniel, but I don't remember. And it's cute. I like the contrast of the warm browns to the snowy background. And yeah, I think Talbot, you can just go ahead and show what they felted, because they did a really good job. The eyes are a little weird, but the eyes in the photo are a little weird. The dog is kind of looking up, but there's some sort of reflection that you can't quite see the eye properly, I think. Light is mainly coming a little stronger from the right, which might be a little bit, I would have probably exaggerated that a little bit in this portrait, just to give one side or the other some, some more dimension and interest. This might be helpful to flip the image or hold your portrait up in a mirror. This is a terrifying thing to do. It's totally horrible, especially if you're painting a person like at a 3/4 angle. You're like, oh, I've got it. And then you hold it up in a mirror and it looks like a Picasso. It looks like skewed. But that is a good test, because our brains are plugging in answers that aren't necessarily true. I do it all the time. I really struggle with it. So what I'm getting at is I think the eyes are off. I think looking at the image, the right eye is higher than the left. Let me go back to, I can just look at it on here just because it takes so long. Yeah. So in the reference image, the dog's head is just slightly tilted, so the right eye is a little bit higher, but it's got to be all on the right, bisecting the nose properly. Boykin, that could be it, Paul. Yep. Okay.
What they did to get the ears.
Yeah, the ears look great. The ears look great. I mean, it's very well done, and that is exactly the color background that I would have made, because really cool. I always do a blue, green, gray. So yes, it's very well done. Definitely. Did you switch? Okay. Okay. Oh, we're into the flowers. So I think this is some sort of thistle. I've seen it. Maybe it's not. That's how I describe it, because it has this bright purple, elaborate flower, and then the rest of the plant looks like it wants to kill you. And I've seen them. It's a wildflower. I've seen them out at Fair Hill. This one, I would like, the inspiration for me would be the contrast of the pinky purple to the green. I kind of like the composition. I might bring that baby one that's down lower up a little bit, so that there wasn't quite, if it was like a second element in the picture, I might bring it up just a little bit higher. It's almost the kind of thing that would be fun to go like way too big and kind of abstract it a little bit.
So that's super in focus, and everything else is...
Yeah, the background, I would just do tones tones of green with blurry, blotchy shadows that, like, yeah, kind of like it is, but even less definition. Yeah.
And then, say you wet felt that, then with the right in the front, you're like
Get your
felting
precision. Yeah.
precision.
Yeah, I like that
points.
idea. Oh, cool. Yeah, very cool. All right, we can keep going. We have a lot, so we're gonna, unless there's a question, we're gonna move along. Some we're gonna talk about more at length than others. I love peonies. They're my favorite. These were from, there was a peony garden in Montana when I went to visit the boys this summer. The single flower is, I don't know. I mean, this is really pretty. I think I prefer three. Prefer three flowers, but this is a lot to do. I don't think I've ever painted a flower like that, like in super detail. Like, so, not, the picture's okay. A little more light would have been nice. And, yeah, this is like, this just screams challenging to me. But I would maybe tackle it as an oil painting.
Fiber? Not fiber.
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how I would do that. All right, we can keep going, Talbot, because I think there's another peony. Yeah, I don't know why the ads are just like, they're just sticking them in there. Like, get out of here, well, YouTube.
I don't. This was like saved. We pulled this from another one, so it's weird it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so this with a third flower would be more my speed. I really like the way it's coming in from the left. I like the way it's all broken up on the right, the bottom right, with the edge of the flower and the leaves, but then you're looking right through that to distant background. This would be more something I would be a little bit more inspired by. If there was a third flower right up in that upper left corner, that would be killer. If there wasn't, and I was going to do it just like this, I would just crop a little bit of the left and give a little bit more space to the distant background on the right. I think that would make a really nice composition. Okay, Talbot, next one. I need a little clicker. Like my grandpa when he used to show us his vacation slideshow.
That old school remote control.
Yeah.
Go change the channel.
Mm-hmm. Sarah Josie. I don't know what's next. My friend Anne had sent me some really lovely pictures. Oh, this was okay. I love this one. This came to us from you guys. I don't know what's going on. It's like an ad for boots or jeans or something. It's just the tones and those warm, deep, shadowy areas. This was very inspiring. I would maybe lighten the post up in some way, just a little bit, so that it becomes kind of the third element. It's disappearing slightly. I think in this one I would pretty much do it the way it is. it's so great. So this is in Ireland. Do you know what kind of flowers the purple ones are? I don't know why a word like lupine came into my head, but lupins. Okay. The yellow dancing around in there, amazing. The dark corner, lower left corner, the color of that green. You know what it is about this? It's not green. It's just, it's all muted, and I really like it. All right, good. I was right with lupine.
And gorse.
What's that?
And gorse. Maybe that's the
Oh, okay.
yellow.
Okay.
So someone says to paint or to felt.
I think it would be fun to felt. It's a little tricky, those purple flowers. That's a lot going on. That would be like the rest of it. I feel like I could suggest, you know, in all kinds of fun ways. I would probably try to figure out a way to do that with the flowers as well. If I were going to felt that, I would probably put a very dark stalk and then kind of shape pieces of wool into a teardrop, like a folded over teardrop, and let the pointy teardrop ends go into the darkness, and the rounded side. So like if you were to picture a whole bunch of ghosts, the pointy little wispy end going into the darkness and the rounded side being at the top. Pretty. So yeah, lots of fun. Alrighty. That was a good one.
Purple in 3D.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
You're even a little behind me.
I know. Okay, so this is nuts.
Wow. Where are you standing even taking that picture?
The hills are... I don't even know. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, what's not to love here? We have a really interesting perspective. We've got depth. You've got this cool composition of the sea of yellow in front of you, and then the broken up kind of jagged hillside in the distance. We've got sky, we've got sea. It's really, really pretty. And I don't know who sent this or where they took it, but well done.
And that better be a vacation picture and not your yard.
This would be, I would totally do this. I could see this in fiber. Oh, we should make a tapestry out of it. And then those yellow flowers in the foreground against the dark grass is very striking. So I think what is so cool about this is your eye just kind of wants to travel all over it. You got the high contrast in the front and this lush green and yellow stripe going sideways down the middle, and then all the interest of the distance as you go back. It's like an adventure. Yeah. So that one is good to go. I wouldn't crop it. I would pretty much do that right as I see it. And if I were to do this 2D, 3D, you better believe some of those yellow poppies would be coming up off the sides really of the... Cool. Oh, gosh, I might have to start.
You might have to do that.
Whose picture is this? Let us know whose picture this is. Okay, I think we're ready for the next one.
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, this is it's a little bit like the single peony. Super cool picture of a sunflower. The blue sky is stunning. I would keep that vivid blue. That would be part of the inspiration for me, would be the contrast of the rusty orange to the vivid blue, because those are complements. There is a bee on there. That's kind of fun. Love that second flower behind it that has some cast shadows on it. The light is pretty strong, but that's okay on a flower. It creates a lot of dimension. I would just take that leaf on the right out. It's not adding anything. It's almost like a photo bomber. Yeah.
The cloud is really neat up there too.
The cloud is really pretty, and and actually, if I could like make it exactly the way I want it, I would take the leaf on the right out, and I would have a little bit more at the bottom with those detailed green leaves. Like I would sort of show where they come into the plant. That because otherwise it's quite square. So I think giving it a little bit more, maybe a tiny bit more sky above the flowers, and then also a little bit more of the leaves below, and make it more vertical. Okay. Oh, like how far through are we, Talbot? Not even halfway, right? Okay, so this picture was sent to us, and we were almost like, is this even real? Like, we couldn't tell, because it almost looks like it already is a painting. I don't know if it's because we got super zoomed in, but it's like whatever's happening photographically here already did the work, the artistic work for you. Because the way the sunlight is coming in is really pretty, and the way the sort of translucent poppy petal is lit is really pretty. And then the opportunity of that very near crisp edge of the petal against the dark center is really cool. Yeah, that's one I would probably also want to do like kind of oversized. Almost like you're zooming in on it.
Should we put these up on?
You can
Fanfare,
go to the next one,
that you chose. Like if someone really wanted to screenshot, we do have the corner taken out because of the picture.
Oh. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't want to make any promises, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, it's a fun one. This is cool, like nice capture of the butterfly on that's a cone flower. Yeah, I mean it's very pretty. That butterfly is gorgeous, and I like the way the sort of sepia colors in the butterfly match the center of the flower. If I were to do that, I would probably soften the green. I think I would bring it a little more kind of tonal. I don't love the bright green behind there. It's a little distracting to me. Because the shape of the flower and the butterfly and all the lines and details that are going on there are so intricate and delicate and dynamic that I would just want the background to be quiet. I feel like.
Would you add a little to the right side to have the green?
I would put more around it in general and some stem. I don't. So in this photograph, the flower's like sitting right on the bottom of the picture. I would definitely put some stem and some more space around it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to insist.
Yeah, good. That's fine. That's fine. It works because it is a long time. Okay, this is from my friend Anne. These are, they have a scientific name, but I think they're coral bells. They're a shade plant, and sometimes the leaves have really, really pretty color changes. So what I loved about this picture is the negative space between the leaves and the way all the leaves overlap each other and the color changes that they make. So if I were to create something from this, it would be sort of more abstract. Like it wouldn't have a foreground and a background, and it would just be this kind of color and like shape collage almost. I wouldn't, some people really, thank you, Laura. Some people really love to specialize in the wet drop look. That would make me crazy, and I probably would ignore that part. But I love the very dark recessed spaces and the stems that are coming out of there, and all of the leaf colors and edge shapes. So
that's one that there's not a focal point.
Not a focal point.
Yeah.
It's just like almost like, how can I keep this? It's almost like a design. Like I'm keeping it fascinating and interesting because of these negative shapes and contrast and stuff. Yep. Oh, so pretty. I forget where these, I think these were submitted. I think that's a kind of daisy.
Color's great.
Oh my gosh, that orange to purple, like that's stunning. And the dark centers with the yellow. Love the dark that's behind these flowers. I would maybe not do the pot. I would maybe kind of like pretend like the pot isn't there.
Okay.
Like you're looking at them actually in the ground. And then where you have more grass and other flowers and it looks like maybe steps in the background, I would just neutralize all of that so that that distant bunch of daisies in the upper left you still see. Like have them faded, but
you wouldn't do the pink pop in the corner.
I wouldn't do the pink pop. I wouldn't do that really dark. Well, if you did the super dark at the top left, have it come down, gradually lighten as it comes closer to the flowers. Yes, thank you, Jennifer. They're so pretty, and it really does make a nice composition. We're just talking about like simplifying the background so that it's not competing with what's happening in the foreground. Okay, Talbot, or did you already do it? Oh gosh, he's getting really good at this. It's gonna move right now. Oh yeah. Yeah, similar concept. The lilies up close. This is a bit symmetrical for me. I tend to go for off center or coming in from one side or the other. That could be done, but they're beautiful flowers and it's a very nice picture. I'm just talking about if this were to be made into a piece of art, we've got flower in the center, almost perfectly symmetrical flowers on each side, and then almost perfectly symmetrical buds coming up out of each side. So just finding a way to I don't know, like if it can be cropped, but you know, so if I were in front of this flower taking this picture for a painting, I would probably like creep around to the left or creep around to the right, probably the left, and get a slightly different angle. Yeah.
The crisp up front with the muted background.
Yeah,
Really
it's
neat.
very it's totally the right idea in terms of the contrast of the sharp lines and the muted lines for sure. Okay. My chair is creaky. Okay, this is the one that my son Max took, and this is where we were talking about complicated can be overwhelming. So when you have something like this, it's going to be, you're not going to look at it and be like, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 trees between these 2 trees, or this tree looks exactly like this. If I were approaching this as a painting, whether it's felted or painted, it would be sky wash, like blue coming down to lightness. Then at the lower 1/3, we have all these pops of sunlight. So the sun's back there hitting a mountain or something because there's all this light behind there. And then we have the rich brown and green at the bottom. So that would be my first lay-in. Then I would drop random, let's say it's felt, let's say it's wool. I would pick a yarn that looks like a tree.
Right.
And just vertical lines. Now, notice that they're angled. They're not going straight up and down. They're angled because of the perspective. Because we're slightly looking up. So things are going to get closer as they go far away from us. So get those lines in. Cut up some green. Speckle it all over the place. These are the random leaves in there. Do some dark and some light. And then dark tree trunk, big trunk right in the foreground. Like it's actually not that complicated because it's almost an abstract. It's almost an abstract.
It's easier
picture.
than the last one that was on there with the really detailed flower in the front.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this would be really, really fun challenge, especially. Okay, so I want you guys to look up Susan. I always forget if it's Mullock or Mulcock. Susan try Mullock. Mullock. So Moy McKay does 2D wet felted landscapes. Very colorful. She has a whole style. They're beautiful. Susan does very textured 2D landscapes, and she is so good.
Susan, Mulcock.
Mulcock. Mulcock. Susan Mulcock. Check her out.
Oh, wow.
You'll be blown away. I aspire to her 2D greatness.
Wow.
Yeah. With fiber. I don't know how her brain is even doing what she's doing, but they're very, very good. Okay, we're getting into some horses. Super cute photograph. You know, if these were my horses, I would try to I would make this work. It's cropped a little tight. If I were making a painting, I would want to see the rest of their heads. It's also pretty monochromatic. They, they're the same color as the stalls, which is okay because we still have a lot of contrast going on. We have some nice light and dark. I can't quite tell how it's lit, but there is enough light. Will you please write the name in the chat? Yeah. Oh, put it in the description. Well, we'll put it in the chat for now. You can jot it down. Yeah, really cute picture. It's fun that their little name tags are there. Hopefully, I mean, you could change the names if those aren't the horses. And that sort of faded blue-green halter and the rope and the other halter are a nice complement to the chestnuts that are happening. I probably would just darken the background. Like, don't do the window, don't do the rafters. Just make it kind of dark behind them. Yeah, but so I think this is great. I just think I would want the rest of their heads. So they're not, yeah. Did yours change?
It did.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
a little bit ahead of you somehow.
All right. So the Mare and foal. Okay. So this is actually beautiful horses. Really nice shot. It's a little far away, and it doesn't. For me, it doesn't quite have enough detail to do it justice, I think. And we have this really strong light and shadow, which kind of just, it's your eyes can't rest anywhere. Everything's light and dark. It's like boom, 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 boom. So it's not a candidate for me to be like, oh, I really want to paint this. I do wish it were, because it's very pretty. It's very pretty horses and pretty shot. One thing you could do, if you really wanted to capture these horses, would be to make some sort of landscape without, I'm just going to have a sky and I'm going to have a paddock and field, and then just have them kind of smaller, lit, defined by their light and dark and their pretty shape. That way you don't need the details of their nostrils and their eyes and their, so that would be one way to make that work. But you can go ahead, Talbot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super cute.
You could click on the live button under YouTube, and it would force you to be more
as current as possible.
Okay.
Did you just switch?
Yeah. All right, so I have a couple of these. This was my friend's horse, Tank, and the Blacksmith, Matt, and I actually did a painting that I loved of this. Hot Blacksmith videos, by the way, are now totally a thing. This was a long time ago. Tank is a tank. He's a big horse, very sweet. And I like this composition. I like the light's fairly soft. I don't know, it sort of just flows and melds together. It's cropped a little weird, and of course I would lose the house and stuff in the background and do it almost just like a vignette of a farrier capturing sort of a moment. I think the next one, Talbot, is also Tank and Matt. But yeah, I have a ton of pictures from this day. Yeah, this one I think I painted the whole thing. What's that?
Big horse.
It is a big horse. I love horse butts, so but this I think the one I painted was actually a slightly different angle. But yeah, I really like the cut, like everything that's going on and the connection between the two. And again, I would probably do like suggest a little gravel driveway, have the grass, and then just have some sort of slightly darker, simpler background. Alrighty. Oh, this one was really fun. But I'm not sure what's in the foreground. Is that like a grassy rock?
It looks like grass and rock.
Yeah. I like...
At first you wonder if it's another...
I know.
animal.
Like, I wish I could either see more of the goat that's in the foreground or that this were another goat, you know?
Mhm.
So that makes it tough. But this is kind of like the lupine one where the tone and the colors are so pleasing, and what a beautiful little scene. And that the creek and the dark background, it's very cool. But compositionally, I'm not sure how to handle the foreground. I would maybe attempt to remove that rock and just at the bottom of the goat on the left just suggest more of his beard and shoulder, and then remove that rock altogether. I think that could work.
Yeah.
And then you've got your three elements. You have the goat on the left up close, the baby on the right, and then the big buck head in the background. And I love the crisscross of the angles of the landscape. Yeah, it's very, very, very cool. I'm happy for the Irish, Irish, the international photographs we're receiving. Okay, this is outside of our shop, across the street.
Nice.
So on this day, the clouds had this weird, like we often have beautiful puffy clouds in the sky, but they had this like cotton candy, like floating characteristic. Like it was different. I don't know if they were lower.
Yeah.
Or, so I took a bunch of pictures on this day, and you know, this is just your basic landscape. That's a lot of green in the foreground. I'll tell you what I like about it. I like the sky. I would probably orient more sky, less grass. So sometimes you want, like, remember the one with the autumn and all the trees? We were like, no, it's about the foreground. This one, I would make it about the sky, and then I would use this bottom, that distant horizon line, as pretty much the bottom with just a little bit of foreground. I love, there's a couple of dark trees just left of center, and I would exaggerate that parts of the landscape are in the shadow of the clouds and parts of them are sunlit. I like how that straw field is lit up. And I do like the sycamore, whose bark is going to be rather light against the trees. I like that there's one tree that's, you know, taller and bigger than the rest. So it's kind of like, that picture is sort of like a starting point. You know, it's not. Yeah. All right. So we have a couple of moon pictures. Yeah, super pretty. Like if this would be like if you were making a 2D, 3D with a raven.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's your background. Very pretty. Definitely
The branches.
a
are so
nice
cool.
visual inspiration for that kind of thing. They caught the moon at just the right time, right between the branches. It's really, really cool. All right, I think we have another moon one.
This is the halfway point.
Oh, this is the halfway point. Okay. Okay, this was just incredible. I don't know who took this picture. Oh yeah, Diane, you should totally do that. All right, so here we have. Is that the moon? Did the
Looks
camera
like
do that?
moon.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like
The star
Gigantic
it's
star.
just the lens.
it just. That's just like spirit calling you, calling you
Yeah, the
home.
camera lens does that.
So pretty. The intense blue that the sky is, it's almost like it's kind of unreal looking,
Mhm.
especially the way the moon has lit the edges of the clouds in an even more vibrant, like aqua blue. The path of the moon on the water is really pretty. I've never tried to do something like this, but it's very pretty. Yeah. Yeah, so that is like, the universe being spectacular right there in front of you. Sometimes with that kind of stuff, you can go to the next one, Talbot. Sometimes with like amazing sunsets or like, it's kind of, I sometimes feel as if I'm not going to do it as well as nature did it, so why do it? That's me. Don't let me stop you. But yeah. Okay. This is really, really pretty. This is a nice composition. I love the way the golden light is off to the left and then just slowly kind of fading to cool as we go towards the right.
You're blending a lot of paint puddles of fiber for that.
Yeah, it's really,
to try to like
it's really pretty.
mimic that color.
I would just lose the tree on the, just because we don't see enough of it, I would lose the tree on the right. I would make, there's a tree on the left that's probably the closest one to us. It's kind of like leaning and just sort of like, it almost looks like a frond. I would make that a little bit more elaborate and overlapping all of this distant gold sunset. Like just make one tree a little more detailed. But I like the distant pines. And so those are fun. And then the misty valley, very pretty. This is straight out of, I think Moy McKay took this picture. This is the kind of thing that I think she's Scottish and depicts sheep and mountains and valleys. And so this is in that. She loves to do little cottages. Like it really is. Definitely look her up. This is a lot. It's very pretty. Love what's probably usually, it might be a brook, but it's kind of coming the whole way down the valley. The very centered bunch of pine trees, I would maybe like randomize that a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty. This reminds me of where my mom's house was up in Keene Valley. Yeah, beautiful vista, beautiful scene. I'm not sure that there's enough happening here unless you really did more sky, maybe. Like, keep the pines in the foreground. Imagine that you have the ability to kind of like compress the mid-ground mountains a little bit. So like just not quite so much of them. And then have that distant mountain have just a little bit more interest, like a peak somewhere. But I like the way the very distant mountain is dark and that where the sky meets it is light. And then you have this really pretty cumulus cloud and then bright blue up top. But I would sort of shift how big things are relative to each other. If I were using this as an inspirational photo, mainly by squishing the mountain area a little bit. Another way to think of it is if you could just like magically cut the trees out, scoot them up, and then have more sky. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So pretty. You know, it's a beautiful place, spectacular. Love the edge of the water on the right. So we have the reflection of the trees, which is dark, and a little undercut shadow where the water's kind of carved out under the ground, and then these light grasses. It's really pretty. So if I were going to just like take this picture and paint it, I would probably crop the left, lose the dead leany tree, and just keep, yeah, just, well, you don't even have to, like, just a little bit off the left. So you've got those rocks, lower left, those are cool. And then you've got this vertical, well-shaped pine tree. That's nice. Lose the leany dead one. And then I would just pick one of those two really tall ones. And I would probably lose the one that's all the way in the distance, like almost right in the center of your vanishing point. Yeah. Okay. This looks like I don't know where this is. Island, maybe. Really pretty, interesting perspective. Looks like maybe you were up high somewhere. It's not yelling to me like, make me a painting. I think maybe it can be bisected pretty neatly into blue and green, and we have some distance, but it's because of the way the lighting is, we're not really creating a focal point. Maybe if there happened to be, the sun was setting and it was brighter in that distance or something. But this one would be tough to me. Do you have any feedback on it?
Well, I'm just thinking about some of the ones that are striking that we're wanting to do.
Yeah.
Partially is because if it's a place that you went, and like it can have more meaning when it's a place.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. So a lot of the pictures, like, it seems like people are on vacation.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm taking a photograph.
Right.
This is not diminishing from that.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
talking,
yeah.
we're talking about like, is this,
What can you pull out
what
of it?
can I
to
pull
make
out of it to make a successful or, be inspired to do this 2D rendering.
So if people have a picture that they love and they're maybe struggling with why they can't
Yeah, this is why.
make it, what you're talking about is why.
And it's the same with the pets.
right.
Obviously, we see a picture of our dog. We love our dog, but that particular photo
Isn't
might not
what's
work.
gonna
Yeah.
make it work.
So these kind of fell into that category for me. Like you're here,
So pretty.
you're like, oh my gosh, it's the Blue Lagoon. Look at this water. It's crystal clear. This is amazing little place. But I struggle with how to create the art from these. The colors that are happening, the chartreuse, the aqua, the deep blue, the reflection of the trees in the water, all stunning. Very pretty. You can go ahead, Talbot. I think there's 2 of those. Yeah. Yeah. This one has a little, like, kind of a little more that I could grab onto, like the rocks in the distance, the way the sunlight, is coming through the trees. But yeah, like beautiful, special place. Hard for me to make it art. Okay. I painted something very similar to this when I went away to that spa place.
Okay.
And I did some art. I did some art classes. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. And so she had us use acrylics and we put like rows of paint and then we just went shh. So we got the deep blue top of the sky, got lighter and lighter, and then we did the mirror image on the bottom, dark blue to light. And then we did the same thing with the trees.
Okay.
And so this is a lot of fun because everything is reflected. That water is like a mirror, is like glass. It's like a mirror. When objects are reflected in water, this is kind of a good always and a good painting rule. They're going to be less saturated. So let's say it's bright green tree. It's not going to be as green in the water. And then the other thing is that it's not going to have as high of contrast. So when you paint that tree line, you've got lights and darks and trees and greens and everything. When you pull that into the water, it's not going to be exactly the same. It's going to be like a filtered version of it.
Same
So
with the clouds in the water.
yeah, same with the clouds. Yep. Loved this one. That's like a little fantasy land. Like we're
Brave enough to cross it.
like we're little hobbits. Yes, I would go across it. So cool. Incredible. I don't know where that is. I love the swirly water. That's a challenge. I don't have much advice on that because I haven't done much of that. But I like the darks in the water. The textures of the rocks. Some big factor ad just busted in here. Okay.
So, some of what you had said before about Susan Mulcock, some of that texture in the water and on the rocks, like using locks, and you can get into some really neat fiber.
She's so good at that.
Yeah.
Though. Like if I stuck locks the way that it would just look like a hot mess. But she does it, and it's like your eye somehow translates. I don't know how she does it. Yeah, I like the difference too between the two sections of green, like the distant green and the foreground green. We have a lot of covered bridges in the area. I've painted a few. Yeah, this is real pretty. Again, we have the reflections. It's a nice angle. I tend to want the bridge to be closer to the left and have the open end have more space, like to the right of the open end. That's the way that I would orient it, but this is the way it's photographed, and you still could do it. It's good that it's not perfectly centered. But yeah, if I were there, I would just like kind of swing the camera to the right so that the distant end is on the left of the image and the open end has more kind of space beyond it. But yeah, that's really pretty. It's a good one. This is fun. I hope you guys are getting something out of this, because this is a fun, like, finding the inspiration and locking in on it, for me, is like one of the most fun parts of the creative process. Okay, we have a couple of snowy rivers here.
Is it a house on the right?
It looks like it's some kind of structure. Talbot, is the next one the golden one, or is this one the golden one?
This one is called River and Gold Light.
Okay. So there's two of these, and I think this was the one that I liked better. And what I would do is pretend like that gold light is just gold light. Remove any building that's there. And then I would let that gold light cross into... It's a little bit coming into these wintry trees, but just let a little bit more of that gold light like cross into this river. This inspires me. I really like the murky dark color of that water. Oh, you know why? Because I need to turn my light up on my...
It's not very bright.
Okay. I like the bigger tree that's coming across the left side. Yeah. This would be challenging, but stunning. I'm getting ideas for I want to make some tapestries.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes. This one, okay, so can you guys see how, like, to me, this is not, it doesn't have as much going on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It probably might even be the same location, but this just falls a little flat for me. Oh, thanks for the feedback, you guys. That's good. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, I included like ones that really jazzed me, and then ones that I couldn't find as much in because I wanted to explain why. And I really apologize if we didn't use your photos. We had a lot. Okay, so we got into a few structures, which can be really fun. If I were to do this, I would paint it. And I think that could actually be fun to paint. To me, this is more like, this is my parents', the university they went to, or their church, or whatever
Right.
it is, and will you do a commission? Like that, not so much like, because it's a very personalized thing, a structure, unless you're just, it's like an Italian market or New York City, but if it's like a building, in terms of making art, that's a tough sell if you're thinking about selling. If it's for you or a commission, or it has meaning, then that's the inspiration that has more, that gives you a little more oomph with it. So if I were to paint that, I would probably, and my dad does this, I would probably orient it as if I were standing squarely in front of it and do no perspective on it. Because you have enough darkness and things around it that it's almost just like glowing out of the center. So again, this is like a stunning place. Very specific. It's kind of fun, like the shadows and stuff. To me, this is more of a photograph of something that was like absolutely incredible that humans did this, and that you're seeing it, and versus making a good piece of art.
Especially, I'm thinking especially with fiber. Like how are you?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Like if it were going to be a painting, you can make the sky more dramatic, or you could you are trying to really capture this place. In terms of that, it's a nice photograph. Like we have nice light, and there's a lot of interest, and the perspective and composition are interesting. So, all right, this one was cool. I want to be that lady on the bench. I wish I could swing the view to the right. So I would like to see that red, interesting end of the building, which it's kind of hard to figure out, like, why is that ramp right in front of it? Like, what's going on there? And then the person on the bench, so all of that would be over to the left, and then we see the lake through the trees and the view that they're actually seeing. As this is, it's just framed. It's framed a little weird for a painting. Wool paint or otherwise. If you are thinking about taking reference photos for painting or 2D, just keep these things in mind as you're looking through the viewfinder of
move, like, so if you're taking one, then take it, but then be like, crouch down or move to the right, or just to see what you...
The tiniest change in perspective creates a big change in our view.
This is cool.
This is beautiful. Yeah, this would be fun. It's very monochromatic. So this is almost like a study in gold and blue. Like it's
really
it's a lot. It's very tonal. It's pretty. The way the sky is like rushing towards you, and then that's kind of mirrored in the water. Is pretty. Yeah, it's really pretty. I'm not sure how, as a piece of art, I'm keeping I'm having the impact. It's almost like something would have to be exaggerated, maybe, but very, very pretty. Spot. Maybe the gold, yeah, or maybe bring the gold kind of across the water a little bit more or something. This is really pretty. If you wanted to do a lighthouse, I like the way the foreground is almost silhouetted because it's in, it's not being lit. So it's we don't have a ton of contrast. And I think that's good because then the sky gets to be like the power player in the image. I was going to say I might lose a little bit of the bottom, but it does give you that nice kind of walk back. Mm-hmm. So rather than lose the bottom, I would maybe I would have fun with the sky. I would not be literal to that. I would make it have a little more I mean, it's hard to say. It would have more wow factor than that sky because that's really pretty. But I would take the idea of the rays and the light and just maybe get more orange or I don't know, something more dramatic because the foreground is just about shapes. Yeah, very pretty.
It is a bright light spot.
So Julie said, I would love to do this again. It might even be interesting to do it in a forum. What does a forum mean? Where you guys can talk? That would be nice. Okay. I know, this is a lot. This is more talking than I even do in a, yeah, that's pretty. Kind of same thing where the beach is just not lit up at all. It's dark. Yeah, it's a nice composition. I like the way, oh, you guys, when you're looking at water, it's always going to be perfectly straight. If you have a horizon line that is water, if you have a tilt in it or anything, your picture's going to be off. So that's going to be perfectly level. This is nice because we have the wave and the edge of the beach kind of going at an angle. So this is a nice starting point, but I would just go crazy. I would just go crazy with whatever's happening in the sky. Okay, another lighthouse. I think the other one was probably a more complete setup for a lighthouse. This one's in the water, which is kind of cool. I mean, you could maybe make it like the rocks continue off, to the shore on the right. We have a little bit more of the beach. Yeah, it's pretty. Just, lose the car and some of that foreground and then make it more sky. I kind of dig the figure on the beach. That's neat. You got a couple of figures, which gives you a nice perspective. So, alrighty. Oh, who said I took this on my Alaskan cruise? Which one was that? Do you know?
That was the sky, ocean, just
okay.
big sky.
Okay. This is pretty. This is like, put those two people in the center and then make it a card and give it to someone you love. That's what it's very nice. I love the way the orange is reflected on the skim of water that's on the beach. Like, if I were painting this, that's what it would be about for me. Definitely you're going to lose the wall, just extend the beach. Again, we have the totally flat horizon line and then the angled beach line. Really pretty colors in the sky. Yeah, this is really pretty. This is inspiring to me in terms of color and like the tones of everything and very pretty.
Bonnie's saying when people ask about 2D felting, do you call them paint or felting? It's hard when they don't know about felting because really it's like a wool painting. Yeah,
it might take more than one word because if you just say felting, they don't realize it's a painting, and if you say painting, they don't realize it's with wool. So you could say, my 2D work is felted, it's painting with wool. It's yeah, that's pretty sky. Really pretty sky. I would save that one for sky inspiration, and then maybe like smash it up with another photo, that maybe has something different in the foreground. But I love the light on that, that swooping cloud. Shariah says, I've never done 2D felting, but they make me want to try. That's, yeah, I'm definitely getting inspired too. It's fun. Like, I don't know. It's really fun. I love the turkeys. Love the turkeys. So there's 2 turkey photos. I think the next one is like kind of more my favorite. The big male turkey is in a really similar pose in both. But I think on the next one, I kind of liked the way the females were arranged better. There's so much autumn happening in this picture. What's cool to me, not just like the turkeys and the feathers and everything, but everything is a tone of autumn, like sepia, dark, brown, black, and then you have this blue and red turkey head. And I just think that's so cool. Yeah, this one's a little quieter, so yeah, I don't know. You could just have both images out in front of you and decide where you want the tree and where you want these females. But this is just a lot of fun here. Yeah, and good luck.
If you're trying to do that
Good
with
luck
fiber.
if you're trying to do that with fiber. I think that would be a painting for me. Yeah. Look at this turkey. Spoonbill something or other,
Oh, it's
perhaps.
really cool.
Very cool bird. What's going on with his left? Why is his left legs? Maybe it's that wide. Yeah, that's a nice picture. Rosette Spoonbill, thank you.
Oh, that's his foot folded up.
Oh, it's his foot folded up. Yeah, like it's all wide. It's a neat bird. I think it's pretty amazing to get that photo. I'm not sure how I would approach that as a painting. Is he the subject? Is the scenery, like the scenery is he's kind of cropped in on, so we're not getting the water and stuff. Yeah. The light's nice. I'm just not sure how to make that, how I would make it and how I would express that artistically. Oh, it's funny. We're wearing the same color, he and I. He's walking. Yes, he is. Oh, you're explaining the legs. Got it. Yeah. He's cool. Okay, I think we have a few of Tuscany. And this one, we're looking through either pillars or cypress trees, I guess trees. It's pretty centered. We've got 2 trees, and then you've got a pine tree right in the center, and then the village or distant castle or village is also centered. So very cool scene. But I think there's a few other ones that grabbed me and pulled me in more than this one. Yeah, this one I like because we're going somewhere. I love tapering road. I've never done a stone wall with wool. I don't know. That's one of the things that Susan Mulcock is good at. If I took this, I probably would have scooted one way or the other to see, how that affects the composition. I don't know if those are olive trees, but I dig those like sagey trees that are in between the cypress. Mm-hmm. This is a little flat in terms of color. So we have some pop of bright green, but I would probably try to pop something else. Like I want something to be rosy or a little, I don't know, I think because the sky is practically white, mm-hmm. and then you have the gray road and the white rocks. It's I would want to try to inject a little more color. So I think there's another. Oh, I thought we had another Tuscany one, but okay.
Last three.
These are the last three. All right, good. You guys, we're going to be hitting about 2 hours, which is kind of crazy. There's a few waterfalls, and some of them spectacular. This Susan Mulcock, when you look her up, you're going to see she's very good at waterfalls and all this like rock and like flora that's happening. She does it in a very natural way. So this is a lot of fun. Love how the left side's in shadow and the right side's all lit up. That would be the inspiration for me. I would just get rid of the dead tree going across the center. I really like the dark ravine that's in there. And yeah, the rest of the trees look really cool, especially on the right and left. On the left, you have a tree that's kind of coming over the rocks that's really pretty. And on the right, you have a variety of moss and grasses that are on top of a rock that are really pretty. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. It's pretty. This one's a little harder to arrange compositionally. We have more dramatic, well, the light, like where everything's really light, it's almost a little bit too light. But the waterfall, the rock, and all of that green texture that's on the rock is really incredible. So I would maybe make that one vertical and just suggest those sunlit leaves a little bit on each side. Yeah, I would probably turn that into a vertical piece. Really cool. Very pretty. Just needs a little more finagling. Okay, last one. I feel like there was another waterfall one that I'm remembering. Okay, this, I don't know what I was thinking of. This is pretty. This is a nice, it's an interesting scene. Don't like the waterfall. This waterfall is a human-made waterfall, so it's real even, which I'm not sure if that's gonna capture hearts as much as, as nature's waterfall. Yeah. And I wouldn't put the building in on the right. But in terms of, the angle and this foreground on the bottom right and some trees and some a distant field, distant trees, distant mountains, it's a nice composition. It is a nice composition. So, wow. Oh, let's just real quick go overhead and show the I wanted to show you guys what I've been working on.
Alright, switched.
Okay.
You are now in the upper right as well.
Okay. Thank you, Talbot.
So I think I can just hide you so you can see the full thing.
Okay, and I can zoom this out just a little bit. Okay. Okay. So I made this wet felted piece. And I realized I have a formula as I was looking at my wet felted pieces. they all have a distant tree line with a break in the tree line. Like every single the one behind me.
Yep.
It's all right. It's all right. The one behind me does too. You guys will see. Well, that's like a hair. And I got this frame used off of Facebook Marketplace, and I wanted to do a snow scene. It's actually like a little bit bigger than the frame, but not too much. I think I've figured out pretty well how to determine how much shrinkage there's going to be. I'm getting a good feel for it. So I made this branch using the techniques that we used for the cherry blossom. And I believe this is going to get put into this bottom left corner here. And then I'm trying to decide like how this should be. I don't want to block. At first I had it like this and I was like, ew, it's just blocking everything. Like, so I'm trying to figure out how this should be. And then I made this little guy, and he's going to be perched on there somewhere.
Snow looks great.
Yeah, I'm happy with the snow. So I wet felted whites and pinks onto a natural white pre-felt and put like silk, and it has some of the colors that are in the sky. And then I just cut it up, and I've got to clean this up, but I used the impasto and stuck it right onto the branch. And then I used this. We had talked about this. Oh no, this isn't it. I don't know. The eau de coat medium. I don't know where I put it. I think it's on the, I don't know if we put it on the goods and faves page, but
just the impastos.
okay. It makes it might be over on the stainless table. It makes what you put it on really shiny. So some of these places where there's the snow is like super shiny. This is it. Eau de coat, gel coating, oilcloth effect.
You don't always want shiny.
You don't
But
always
when you
want shiny. But so it's like it's making this snow kind of like glisten, which is really cool. So I just wanted to share that before we.
Rena asked if you were disqualified from the 2D3D challenge competition.
Absolutely, I am. Oh my gosh, Rena, I'm totally stealing an ornament. You guys, I know this is like diverging, but we're getting the ornaments, and like everyone we open, we're just like, wow, yes, I'm so, like everybody has to come. Like when there was some chat on, some people were going to come from New England and make a trip, and I'll definitely try to be there if a group comes. How come my thing's still on the picture?
I flip it around.
Oh, okay.
It's not just you.
Okay. So, yes. So thank you for the ornaments. Thank you for all of the photo submissions for this live stream. That was really fun. And thank you for the 2D, 3D submissions. I think we picked a time on the calendar to go over that.
I think so.
We haven't totally figured out how we're gonna do it.
We haven't figured that out yet.
We might do something similar to this, but we would be using your photos. So that's why we were encouraging everybody to try to get really good photos.
Yeah, that's Friday, September 19th. It is on the calendar.
Yeah. So if you made one and you're like, your picture is going to be like we just did, like a slideshow. So if you feel like you want to retake it or have a couple, that would be good. Yeah, I think that's everything.
So in general,
Mm-hmm.
with felting, with wool,
Yeah.
you're more successful with a landscape or a background or like if you're trying to get really specific on a flower, you're going to have to be needle felting details. Similar to the fox or the hummingbird, like if you're trying to do a focal point.
It depends. Like, I think you can lay out. We lay out flowers in the hummingbird, the wet felted
Yeah.
hummingbird.
Yeah. Okay.
I almost would lean towards, I'm going to lay this out in wool, wet felt it because of all the fun that happens.
Right.
And then see
if it needs to be sharpened.
if I need to pop something or sharpen something.
Okay.
I don't know. Everybody
A
has
portrait?
different
Pet
preferences.
portrait?
Pet portraits, I would needle felt.
Needle felt.
Yeah.
But if you wanted a cool background, you might wet felt the background, needle felt onto that.
Mhm. So the lion that we needle felted, I can't remember if that was live or recorded, but it didn't have an elaborate background. But I did felt the background before I needle felted it. So
The lion is linked somewhere. Trying to see. I feel like we might have been live on Facebook for that. It wasn't.
oh my
felt along.
gosh, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
May have to dig that back out. Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you. I can't. I'm very excited for this fall. We're heating up. We have a lot to do together, and yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. So.